Hello, hello, and welcome back to Heads Down. My name's Christopher Tubbs, and this week I have the fantastic Faze Action. In a two-part interview, Mr. Simon and Robin Lee talking about their inspirations, the making of the classic In the Trees, and how they feel about the scene, how they feel about the business of the music industry. They're all over it. You should definitely check it out. You're on Heads Down.
No, I don't
Not
think we
quite the same, was it?
did. No.
No, I mean, more. I was always like the guy working in the. I was always collecting vinyl, and Robin was always playing the music on the vinyl. I suppose in a way, weren't you?
I mean, Simon would buy records, and I liked the records that
Yeah,
Simon
but he
bought.
was
I
And
mean,
then you'd sort of.
I never forget him, his
Yeah.
friends bringing home one of those compilations on
Do it
Beat,
fluid.
Beat Goes Public back
Yeah,
in the
Johnny Hammond
80s.
fantasy on it.
And as soon as I heard Johnny Hammond's Fantasy, it something went off in my head, didn't it? I think it probably did for you as well.
Yeah,
And I was just like, this is it.
yeah,
That's all. Were we listening to that before? That's not us.
yeah.
This is what we're about.
Basically, the first one was Disco Motion, and then Robin was going travelling. He was kind of going to go and teach English in Japan. And when he was going away, it was like, I've been badgering for ages because I'd been working in a record shop. And I was,
We wanted to
and I was like, there's not, there wasn't anything coming out that we were really into, and I was badgering him to do something, and he was like, okay, before I go, we'll do this idea that you've got. So we did the idea, and it worked out really well. Meanwhile, Robin had gone to Japan, so it was like, okay, well, we better work on the follow-up. So I kind of got an idea together for In the Trees, and then sent the backing track to Rob, and then Rob wrote the cello parts on it, and then sent them back. This is before internet. Sent them back. So they had to wait for the manuscript paper to come back. Then we had to hire.
Did we fax it?
Oh, you might have faxed it. I can't remember.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Technology. Yeah,
Oh,
and then
1995.
and
fax.
then we had to get someone in to play it, and then kind of very different from doing it now, where you could write that tune in like a couple of hours probably.
Yeah, back then, because the mad thing was I just moved into this
Yeah.
new apartment in Japan, and it's called the building was called Suido Kaiken, means the water tower, and at the time I didn't have any instruments apart from a bass guitar in my room, and I didn't have an amp, so without an amp you can't really hear what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I had to put like the neck of the bass against the water tower so that I could get some sort of resonance. So there I was with this neck of this bass against the sort of just twanging away,
Oh my God.
writing down the notes on manuscript paper. Quick, get it down.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? So I didn't know what it was going to his part was going to sound like until we got the person in to play it. Whereas now, you could do that. You could have a cello sample part up in like a couple of hours, and it'd be done. But I guess that's why it worked out so well.
Carl, you're so lucky to have obviously each other, but
Yeah.
Robin, who plays strings, making
Yeah.
disco-based music
Yeah, I know.
with someone who plays cello, it must be fantastic. I would
Yeah.
kill
I
for
was
that
lucky,
in
I
a
suppose,
partnership.
when I was 8 years old.
Yeah, no,
started
I am
playing-
lucky.
I'm
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah, I am lucky. Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting, I remember reading about the kind of genesis of In the Trees and Jockey Slut or something like that.
Oh, okay,
Back
yeah.
in the day, maybe Jockey
Yeah.
Slut. And reading about how you were in Japan at the time, you were here,
Yeah.
and a kind of very abbreviated version of that story. And I remember, how contorted dance press is. And I remember thinking, wow, imagining you in this fantastic state-of-the-art studio in Japan,
Yeah.
and you back,
Yeah,
just
just
having
like
these,
feet up on the mixing
Yeah.
desk. couple of
couriers
splits on the
racing
go.
between
Between
countries.
countries.
Oh,
But-
curious, yeah, just put it down over there.
Like Superman.
Yeah.
Off they go.
Yeah.
Great teams of them. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Not wasn't quite like that at all. Really.
Because that's what we thought in New Zealand. We used to see photos of you guys, and I remember, friends, people who are now my friends in England who I work with, quite regularly, and reading stories about these guys, thinking, my God, just imagining everyone sort of driving around in Carrera convertibles and, you know, in these huge analog studios, like sort of, you know, Frankie Knuckles, you know, kind of style studios.
I'm really glad you had that thought, Chris, but
unfortunately it's a little bit more...
To spell the whole myth, it was pretty...
It was much more like sticky.
It was, no,
and a bit of chewing gum.
No, but all those recordings were recorded on tape, or they're all down to tape.
Reel-to-reel.
So that was just before, you know, we've got all the reel-to-reels in there.
But actually, I believe that wasn't that studio literally? It was like a front room almost. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a front room. It's Ben Mitchell's studio in Uxbridge. Yeah, so it's a front room, smaller than that studio, pretty
Tiny,
much.
Yeah, literally, there was enough room for the sofa, his control area, and I don't know how the cellos were recorded. You got timpani.
Yeah, we got in timpani one time. So we got samples. No, we're not having samples. So we hired in found out this bloke in South London, drove up in a van. And we got these timpani. Why we did it, I have no idea. But yeah, we couldn't get them in. I think we had to get them over the back fence and then in. And Ben's
actually a percussionist.
Yeah,
right.
Ben played the timpani. So yeah.
So
quite interesting.
You know that had an enormous impact on the trees, and I think it still does today in a lot of ways. I mean, when it came out, it was just so unlike anything else. And what did it do? Were you surprised by its success at the time?
Yeah, I suppose we were quite surprised by it.
Well, I was quite out of the picture. I mean, in Japan,
you was settling into your thing.
I was still not. You know, I wasn't really. I went to the record shops and stuff, but I wasn't really aware of, you know, what was going on, really. I didn't know. And I walked into one shop and I saw the record and on the thing, and I asked the guy behind the counter, and he said, no, that's the last one in Japan, that's it. They're sold out. And I was like, oh, wow.